I know your sweet wife. Your sweet wife is the best thing about you, Todd. Love Claire. Yes, sir.
I spent many years at school studying from the corners. Interesting twist.
Folks, if everyone would take a seat, I want to welcome you to the Town Hall Forum, Public Forum meeting. It's an opportunity for people to speak to the council, and at times, if there are questions, perhaps we can answer those questions. During a regular meeting, we can't do that. All we can do is listen to public input. We can't answer questions or respond. But during the public forum, we can. This town council started that several years ago, and we're very proud to, one of the few councils, I think, anywhere that has a public forum every month for people who want to speak before the council. Just ask that it pertain to business that coming before the town. Let's all bow our heads in a moment of silence before we start. Amen. Commissioners, you've seen the agenda for the public forum. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? I have a motion from Commissioner Fouché. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Alexander. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Floor is open for public comment. Bill Shy.
expensive to show them at the same time. Scott Adams, there are requirements. Y'all remember that we did away with those requirements in the zoning ordinance. Well, it turned out that there were 3 other references to overall zoning ordinances of the county, which deal with sewer and sanitary.
Not in the zoning ordinances?
Not in the zoning ordinance. So we didn't know that. Our staff really didn't advise us about it. So I want to, we would really appreciate it when you advise. That's why I'm here is asking them to deal with that. I think you really only have to deal with one of them. Scott, Chip has a prospective purchaser of a lot in ETJ, is a possible purchaser, puts in lots of y'all will recall that ETJ is not in the ordinance of the county. It's a full jurisdiction. Their Bahama lots are within. Well, what Scott advised Chip was that he would have to get attached to the reflective person because there were 3 other parts of the system. But the only ordinances in Redmond, and as to the ETJ, the first section Scott cited was chapter E, the utilities, section 65, as well as the sewer system. Owners of any improved property located in the town shall connect with public water and municipal sewer So you think that if they would, despite what we did, which y'all did with the zoning ordinance, extend the sewer. Well, and I've talked to Scott since, and as I've read the ordinance, that applies only to lots within the town. So I've asked Scott to look at that. I'd like y'all, if you wouldn't mind, just confirming consensus that it was your intent, it's our intent to do what calls staff. But I'm going to read from the owners of any approved property.
And could you cite that?
Yes, section 6, article 1, chapter 2. The owners of any approved property located in the town shall connect to the public water line and MSD sewer line in accordance with this ordinance. So I don't think that that applies to their Scott after I read it to you. The other is section 6 and 7 of chapter M. I don't think they apply certainly to the ETJ lines, because what it says, this has to do with extensions of the water lines and sewer lines outside of the town. All extensions of water utilities outside the town footprint shall be subject to the approval of the board of commissioners and shall be located in the jurisdiction of the jurisdiction. No private water line or system shall include the connection to the water system unless at the same time adequate sewer services. Okay. Well, that has to do with extension of lines, no extension of lines going on in the area of the slide. That's the point. There is a water line. So it seems to me that the second person is there, because the other is not count. So that one is left in time to be advised. So I guess I'd like to turn to Oklahoma, Florida, request, which I said, these are, y'all mess with that, I'm free on 50. I would request that y'all do that.
We have to do that in the meeting, during the meeting.
I think it'd be safer to do it in the meeting.
You would have to make your reference and recommend, allow us to consider all the. Why don't you just say all provisions in the ordinance review is scrutinized. We can take a look at it. See if
In hearing you, and I certainly, I always want to be careful when challenging a lawyer. And so this is not a challenge. But and part of the reason, years ago when we decided to move into, as there was redundancy in multiple places, and again, I think y'all did a wonderful job of trying to pull that together, but there's so much of that. So obviously, we're seeing a little place here that we can need to fine tune. But so I think that will be helpful. But again, as I hear you read that, it sounds pretty clear to me that one is very distinct in the town, which is not the ETJ, and then one seems to be very distinct in if extended outside, there's parameters. So obviously, I think we can look to try to clean that up, but from a lawyer's perspective, does it not seem like we?
I think as far as CHIP's concerned, on EJ, I think.
Right, that's what I'm asking.
On Oklahoma, I think y'all would have to.
Okay,
I mean, you need to.
so you're more concerned with the Oklahoma piece of that versus the ETJ.
Because I can stop and agree with you. Chip to do it.
Okay. I do think, you know, we need to be as quick as we can be when we've got people's property in sales.
Anybody else?
I can't speak for meetings.
I understand, Bill. Poor Peggy. Okay. Who's next? Come on up.
Thank you all very much, Priscilla. I'm here to 19 Assembly Drive. It's interesting to be here with you all again tonight. Thanks for all of your work. Many of us remain concerned about the proposed intended hotel / lodge that NRA expects probably to be a permit for. At the same time, there's many of us that
I'm like Don Reed. I'm with my friends. Some of my friends like it and some of my friends don't like it. And I'm with my friends. But some of the things, you know, the sign is very contentious. People coming into Montreat, they're glad to be here and so forth. It sets a wrong tone to me. It's very contentious. And I've had several comments about that. The red ribbons are fine. Some of the signs, you know, I don't know whether they're good or bad. They're informative perhaps. But you need to be very businesslike about it. And if you take it to court, it's going to affect every taxpayer in Montreat because we end up footing the bill. And you talk about contentious. They don't like paying these attorneys these big bills. I don't. And, you know, I'm just being frank. You just need to go about it very businesslike. And I hope you and MRA work it out because that's where it needs to be worked out. The town does not have a role in it. Our process has been set up for years. The law has set it up for years through the planning and zoning, not the commission, but the planning and zoning laws and so forth. So, you know, y'all are following the right process to go ahead and try to work it out with MRA. That's all I have.
No, I think I just want to echo what Tim said because, you know, when someone got up last month and said something about a lawsuit and, you know, that it's been mentioned more than once that that's what's coming. And I'm afraid we're going down a path that we've gone down before in this town where it just splits and friendships are lost and people are thought of as, oh, those people. And we don't need that. And there's nothing, you know, there's nothing more contentious than good Christian fight. And that's what we're experiencing right now. And I do think that, especially the 4th of July and all those signs, my grandchildren's like, what does all this mean? And it's just like, can't we get along? You know, how the Israelis and the Palestinians, how are they going to get along when we can't even get along in Montreat? So I'm just ready for the fight to be over and something to decide. So good luck.
Anyone else?
Yeah, again, thank you for what you said and the mayor. And I like your approach and the fact that I think it does fall between some, if folks are against it, MRA, I think that's a great place to start. I think it's where we should start with so many of our disagreements is with our neighbors first. And again, I don't want to get preachy. We all love Montreat, and I hope we're fighting because we do love it and want to see something. So I guess addressing one of your thoughts, the mayor did give me the freedom to bring a group together in the future. I feel like it's a big task, but I'm appreciative of that. That being said, I am going to reach out and have slowly started with the college. I'm also going to do that with the MRA and try to get a group there. And then obviously we're going to bring in some cottagers, neighbors, and then the town piece. That being said, I really did. I spent about 2 hours today going back to the 208 comprehensive plan. And we're, you know, on the doorstep, I think one, because we have to per the state, but do another one. And as I read today, I was a little disappointed in my humble opinion on how much of that was spelled out, I think done well, but we have in some aspects not really implemented because it addresses a lot of what we are finding some tension with. And so again, not taking a place on either side of that right now. I would agree. It's time to unfortunately we act here in Montreat sometimes when it all of a sudden something comes up. We were not proactive. And I'll say, you know, I'll speak. I've been maybe guilty of that as well. So that being said, I do think it's time to really have some conversations. And in that, though, being neighbors, there's going to have to be some give and take. I think we're, you know, that's the beauty and the hardness of living together. But, you know, again, I refer back to 208. And again, we could cherry pick some things and we could argue on one side and argue on the other side. But I think it did a good job of laying some of that out. And I think going forward, we have to understand who we are as a community, how we love the quietness, the beauty, the nature, but how important the college is. And they're trying to grow. And I'm thankful that they're having growth. How important the MRA is. I'm glad they appear to be growing. So how we're going to juggle that, again, we've said it, it's going to be hard, but I think we really do have to have. So from that, I would say I'm in agreement with the conversations in this time. All that being said, is I hope I can at least facilitate that and we can have some healthy conversations.
No, you can go ahead. But well, you got 10 minutes left for any of these other people who want to talk. And I'm going to cut it all off at 7.
So just 30 seconds to say, I agree entirely with the sentiment of your comments. I mean, we often perceive and conclude conversations with the MRA is very important. And we want it to be as robust as possible. So these MRA are doing all kinds of things and it's not about that. And we want them to be even stronger. They see areas where they don't strengthen, we will help them do that in order to so, you know, being told that if we can find specifically that satisfy the needs of the conversation, then we will end up very much so I very much
Thank you, Priscilla. Who's next? Wade. Thank you, Wade. I hope you recruit yourself when you vote on that stuff and planning and zoning since you own property up there. Thank you.
I'm here because I saw a notice that the MRA was planning on the Board of Adjustment hearing August 26th, and I'm just confirmed. But the point is, I acknowledge this process, and the mayor's talking about the process. And some of you have spent time talking to me, and I thank you for that. But about MRA plan hotel companies. Went back and looked at the mission statement to the town, and it's very helpful. But going in mission, and look at the mission statement of Pine Tree, and it really does spell those special places and how you want to be. And it talks about, on your website, it talks roads and maintenance and sanitation. So as the third individual taking manage road, as this body, the Board of Commissioners, leads the managed road this year, how will those expenses be supported by the users rather than the property? And the third specific, that when this building, as this process moves along, how will the Board of Commissioners lead? Or you have to facilitate. How and what are the limits on the you have? Therefore, what can you do to help facilitate rebuilding process? A way that MRA, we're pro-MRA, I've been supporting MRA for years. Love them all. We're for one reason, we're for them for helping MRA, we can go hand in hand. How can this body facilitate? You let them be everybody agree, let them be everybody in this information. Now that's what here. Users paying for the free for the expenses and this body leading unify this community as we move next.
First of all, the plan has been used sparingly over the last number of years since it was put into place. And it's still a guideline, but this year we have in the budget for a new comprehensive plan to gather new information and to answer questions that have arisen over the last 10 or 15 years. So that's part of it. How are we going to manage growth? It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle because you've got a lot of entities in this town that don't pay taxes because they're nonprofits. The college, MRA, MRA's property, not all of MRA's property, the property they have that they can sell, they are taxed on. But the property that they have in use and so forth is nonprofit, so they don't pay taxes on it. So most of the support comes from the cottagers, the people who own homes up here. That's where the taxes come from. And it's a balancing act every year to try to figure out how to do that. The town is not a facilitator. The town government is to take care of town business. How do we raise money? The taxes, the supervision of our staff and so forth, the hiring of people. We hire all the people that are hired for Montreat. They go through us and so forth. So we're more of a function of, we have functions that we take care of. We're not facilitators. So I don't know how this body can be expected to facilitate when we already have a process set up. And I hate to keep saying process set up, but we have to follow the laws of the state of North Carolina and our ordinances, and that is how it's set up. So there's very little we can do to go outside of that without opening up a can of worms and having multiple lawsuits. So that's pretty much my answer. I don't know if anybody else has any answers to that. Oh yeah, you know, it's you and I have talked about that MRA gives us so much money per head every night at the hotel. They don't have to. They do that voluntarily. And they would do the same thing with the lodge, I'm sure. So it's money in our pockets. They try to help us offset as much police protection, fire protection, and all the other things that we provide. They do pay for their water. They do pay for their sewer like everybody else. But they do try to offset that by giving us money every year. We're very appreciative of the money they give us, and it comes in handy. We suffered these last couple of years because there hadn't been any money because of the pandemic. Hotel, when you go by, there were no cars up there. It was totally empty and closed down. So we suffered through that, and we managed. We had to go up a penny on what taxes last year? 2 pennies last year. So, you know, it's on the burden of the people who own homes up here and own property. Well, I've got to figure that out, and this council's got to figure that out too. You know, I don't know how Davidson does it with Davidson College. I don't know how these other towns do it, but we'll try to figure that out. Thank you. Folks, I've got 7 o'clock. Welcome to the town council meeting, which is getting ready to start. Let's all stand, face the flag, and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Commissioners, you've seen the agenda. Will you adopt it with the one change of referring to the provisions to the Planning and Zoning Commission, referring to the ETJ? Can we add that just as a reference? We don't have why we're going to act and say, you know, we'll refer the certain ordinances to the on the ETJ regarding water and sewer. Can we add that?
Mr. Mayor, we also, I'd like to bring up an error that's in the meeting minutes of the June 10 meeting.
Okay.
For the record. I can't be everywhere, but I know I was in this meeting, but I was also shown as not being in this meeting. So maybe that could be corrected.
That's when you fell asleep.
Which time?
Which time? Okay. Got that corrected, Angie? Okay. Is it okay with everybody to add that? Okay. I see a consensus. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended then?
So moved.
Have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Whitmer to adopt the agenda as amended. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second from, was that Alice? Okay. I got to put Kent down there or something. We got too many ladies on one end, and all I can hear is a lady's voice. From Alice Lentz. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? My communication is, I hope everybody had a good 4th. Parade was absolutely fantastic. A lot of people there. Didn't have as many units as we normally have, but it's been a pandemic year. So I think there's a lot of fun going on. We've got a big group coming in next week. I think it's about 700 and some high school kids. And they're going to be everywhere, so be careful when you drive. The consent agenda tonight is the adoption of the June 10th Town Council Public Forum meeting and the June 10th Town Council meeting minutes as amended. Town Administrator's communication, Alex.
Just wanted to keep you updated that we have not received any ARPA funds yet. We have been working or communicating with the state and participating in numerous Zoom meetings about how those funds can be spent and what requirements on the accounting side will be in place. But the actual disbursement hasn't happened yet. So we still don't have a number other than the estimated 250 for the ARPA funds. And that's it for my communications tonight.
Those funds that Alex talking about, for those of you who don't know, is the emergency funds that the federal government is giving municipalities and county governments that suffered losses during or expenses during the pandemic that they didn't have revenues for. So we're still on top of that. And Alex, I thank you for staying on top of that. Commissioners, you've received administrative reports, one from the administration, planning and zoning, the police department, public works and water, sanitation and streets. Any questions on any of those or any comments on any of those? Kitty?
I noticed that 2020 data wasn't available. Will it be updated before it goes into permanent record?
We actually didn't have a meeting in July of 2020. So the reports were never compiled. We will have data for next month, but not for this month, no ma'am.
Good, thank you. You know, I thought that we didn't meet, but somebody insisted we did. Why are we here?
You're looking beyond me. No, okay.
Yeah, we skipped July, sorry.
Any other questions or comments on any of those reports?
Yes, I voiced my displeasure last month at the lack of a complete financial report. And now I'll turn around and say thank you for a far more complete report. I have to tell you, though, I read it and I didn't look at the first report title. I just started looking at the numbers, and it was the 2019, 2020 year, last year, not this year. And I saw red numbers, big red numbers, and it scared the bejeebers out of me until I flipped down and saw the current year. So thank you, and to Darlene as well.
You need to make phone calls to Tom and tell him what the red numbers are before he pulls them up. Can't have him, the mayor pro tem, having a heart attack.
That's right.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes, if Barry's back there, it's directed to him. If not, maybe Alex, you can answer it. I'll start by saying thank you to Police Chief Aaron, his crew, as well as Barry for this weekend. I was up Saturday morning at 5 o'clock. All those guys were out getting ready for the parade, setting up for the run. Then they come back in on Monday, and we've got trash day, and then we've got the bulk trash day. So I think they spent 3 days on that, and they had a broken borderline from what I've heard. So I think those guys have been running 20 hours a day, it appears, for the past few days. So again, truly, I'm appreciative, and I know our community is, for that work. My question to you, Barry, is I was over, and I know it's been sort of a little pet peeve of mine, but how are we doing over there on Texas Road below the baseball field?
Barry Creasman is our Superintendent of Public Works.
I have got a call in to Jesse Gardner, CDC, on vacation. All of our permitting stuff, all through, I'm just waiting on the set drawings to bring out the finalization.
Okay.
And then we'll be able to push it back. That's where we're at right now.
Good. How many dumpsters did you fill up on bulk pickup day? 4. Had to wait for them to dump the dumpsters before we could go back out and finish picking up. Thank you. Yeah.
Before you walk away, again, I know the process. I'm glad we got the permits and drawings and move. And not trying to pin you in a corner, but do you have a guesstimate on when we might see some work started up there? And do we run into the same thing we did over on the Flat Creek with fish and when you can work and such?
It'll run into that.
Okay,
That's just out of our control. That's the law.
right.
I can do is try to have some plans in front of us very soon. Hopefully, what he thought was when he got back from vacation. And the timeline for starting will depend on how live we want to open the pool for what's going to happen this weekend.
Okay.
To start with. That's where that is.
All right.
Thank you, Barry. This is work that was created by Tropical Storm Alberto. How many years ago now? 2018. We're still trying to catch up and finish doing the repairs in this community. Any other commissioners' questions or comments on any of the reports? Hearing none, we'll go to public comment. Anybody? Nobody jumped up. We'll move on. Old business, there is none. New business. Item A is Buncombe Madison Regional Hazard Mitigation Plan Resolution. Alex.
So in order to qualify for state and federal disaster assistance funds, we have to be part of a hazard mitigation plan. We have for many years participated with Buncombe County, and then in 2016, I believe, broadened that to be a Buncombe Madison County joint plan. The plan has to be updated every so often. I think it's every 5 years. The municipalities in Buncombe County and Madison County and the counties receive some grant funding to get some support for updating that plan. And that plan has been in the works since 2019, that update. The updated plan was linked in your agenda packet. It's 484 pages. It's a very detailed plan. It goes through a lot of the communications that have come before the planning process of updating the plan. It's extremely informative if you have a chance to read through it or even glance through it. It provides information on the not liability, but the potentiality of everything from tornadoes to cybersecurity attacks. It goes through and it assesses the risk for each area basically looks at the capacity of the municipalities and the counties to address those areas. And so the plan is a guidepost. It is required for us to be eligible for the disaster recovery funds. The plan was, the old plan actually went out of date on July 6th. So we're a couple days without a hazard mitigation plan as it stands right now. I was on the team that met early on in 2019, and Adrian Eisenhower was as well at the time. We met and kind of talked through our different municipal challenges. And the plan that the resolution before you tonight would adopt the updated hazard mitigation plan. If you choose not to adopt it, then we will not have a hazard mitigation plan in effect any longer. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on the Buncombe Madison Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Questions of Alex?
So Alex, regarding process, this is a plan that Buncombe and Madison counties were responsible for updating, and all of the municipalities within those two counties have a part in implementing it and thus approving the updated plan. Is that correct?
That is correct. The implementation is something that it's a guidepost. It's not like you have to require certain ordinances or whatever. It basically assesses what you have and how that mitigates against disaster. So it's not like if we adopt this plan or don't adopt this plan, we have to change our ordinances or anything like that necessarily. It may be that we want to, but yes, all of the counties and municipalities participated in this process. The data that was collected is very thorough, and the plan itself is enlightening.
Alex, I can't find it now. It must be in the plan. I did not read all 400 and some pages, but there was a survey. But did we get surveyed? I don't remember getting a survey, but 0 people in Montreat responded, it says.
So I think they had a total of 94 respondents. I don't recall the survey portion of the process, so I don't recall any of those details.
Sort of made us look bad, but you feel like the plan covers us adequately.
I think the plan covers us, and we in turn are well suited for the plan.
Commissioners, you have before you a proposed resolution to adopt or deny resolution. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution 21-07-0001 as presented.
I have a motion, Commissioner Otto. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a Commissioner Lentz. I have a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, and I'll explain why. I have a hard time approving something that I haven't read, and I'm sure it's fine, but just as matter of principle.
Okay. We have 4 ayes and 1 nay. Okay. All right. Public comment again?
Mr.
Anybody?
Mayor, did we not amend?
Oh, yeah, with the amended part, how do you want to handle that, Alex? Scott, do you have an idea?
Scott's not in the room tonight.
Where is it? Okay.
We would. So the motion would be to refer the general ordinances pertaining to water and septic to the Planning and Zoning Commission
Then I said-
for review.
Have a motion from Commissioner Fouché. Do I have a second?
I second.
Have a second from Commissioner Alexander. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. Public comment? Tom?
Stay close to it, Thomas. Stay close to it.
I just wanted to, talk about building bridges, and that brings up the Texas Bridge, and I think the comment of the 11th of August meeting will hear an update about it, and beautification, and what the beautifying is, to make it will be part by very lovely.
Thank you, Tom. There is money in the budget this year to do some work on that bridge and finally get it to a more appropriate state. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on. Commissioners' communications, but before that, I want to thank Matt Ashley and Kent Otto for setting up the race this year. They set it up every year, and if you're up here at 7 o'clock in the morning like I am to shoot a gun, and that's all I have to do to start the race. And they've got all this set up, and they got clocks and lines across the street that staff does, and it's just amazing all the stuff that they do well before 7 o'clock when I stagger down here and shoot a gun and then go get me a cup of coffee and go back home. And I also want to thank Chief Arrett and his crew for all the work they did during the parade. They did a super job. And Barry, you and your crew, they were just everywhere, doing everything. And like Kent said, putting up barricades and getting the race off and so forth. And we do appreciate y'all so much. And sorry we can't always reflect it in your paychecks, but thank you. Thank y'all. Commissioner communication. Hearing none. Dates to remember: Montreat Tree Board, July the 27th, 9:30 in the morning. And it's Zoom software and in-person attendance. Montreat Land Care, August the 4th, 2021, 9 a.m. by Zoom software and in-person attendance. Where's that one going to be held? Does anybody know? Usually, Land Care is usually here, isn't it?
So I'll have to confirm that, but I believe it's going to be in this room.
Okay. It's marked out. It's been canceled. Montreat, let's see, Town Council meeting August the 12th, 7 p.m. by Zoom. Public forum at 6:30. In-person attendance is also allowed. Montreat Tree Board, August the 24th, 2021, 9:30. Zoom software and in-person attendance.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
There has been much discussion about this Board of Adjustment meeting in August, but I don't see it on the list.
It's not scheduled. It's not scheduled yet. Until we receive an application or anything, there's no need to even schedule it. So August 26th is not.
So staff has reached out to try to establish a quorum for the Board of Adjustment members, and we haven't nailed down the date yet.
Okay.
So that's why that's not in the
To be determined.
to be determined.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Widmer to adjourn. Do I have a second? Y'all don't want to go home?
Second.
Commissioner Alice Lentz, second. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes carry. We're adjourned.